and we're delighted to listen to her speech with Sinan. It's with my immense pleasure to welcome you up to the stage.
Hi everyone, can you guys hear me all right? Yes. All right. It's a little louder, come on, it's your graduation. How are you guys feeling today? I'm a little disappointed. How are you guys actually feeling today? Come on. Good, good. Give yourself a round of applause. First of all, congratulations to all of you. Give yourselves the largest round of applause that you could possibly muster. Come on. You are graduating from year 11. That is still one of the highlights of my life when I graduated from year 11. You just finished your IGCSE. You have done an amazing job. Not just by the phenomenal grades that we saw earlier, but by surviving the hardest time any teenager has, high school. And you've done it brilliantly. And I have no doubt that each and every single one of you is incredibly smart, talented, and is going to change the world. And I'm honored to... you should clap. That's a good thing. And I'm so honored and so touched to be here as your guest of honor to share, hopefully, a few words that will get you on the path that you are meant to be. So, a little bit of introduction for myself. My name is Harsha. I am a 20-year-old social entrepreneur. I am the CEO and co-founder of Ascendance, which is an international youth movement that has worked with 35,000 students, 28 countries, 900 schools and communities, and works with local ministries of education here in Malaysia and global education partners from Ivy League universities, Fortune 500 companies, and so on to help everyday students across the world discover what they love doing, go out there and change the world in their own capacities, and start their careers while they're still in school. And if you guessed by my age, I graduated 3 years ago. So in 2019, the last batch of high school students ever that was allowed to have their physical graduation was my batch, fortunately. Then everyone went home and sat down for 2 years. But in 2019, I was a completely different person. Don't get me wrong, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 13 years old. But my life changed on that night of my graduation night. I remember being so excited. I was on my school's graduation committee. I had just finished my IGCSE. And we were all so excited to see what would happen next. Don't get me wrong, none of us had any idea what we wanted to do. And I'm sure many of you here are probably still thinking what you're going to do next as well. So hopefully these next 3 things that I will share with you will give you a little bit of clarity. So for me, back in 2019, I was an entrepreneur, I had a small business, we worked with a couple of hundred students here and there, but I still didn't know, what is it that I really want to do? How am I going to change the world? And I remember coming back from graduation thinking, what do I do now? I've got no more classes, I've got to figure out what's next. And it felt at that moment that I had all of the pressure of the world on my shoulders, trying to figure out what was this next step I was supposed to do. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is, there is no pressure. If you made it here today, as I said, the world knows that you are talented, competent, and amazing. And sometimes, when we get caught up in what's next, we forget to take a moment and accept that, yes, I am this amazing person who's going to change the world, and I just need to figure out how. So for me, after IGCSE, I took a little bit of a gap year, or a gap couple of months, and I started figuring out what is it that I love doing. My family, my friends, a lot of people were saying, you've got to go to college before you forget how to write. And I was like, that's an interesting perspective. But for me, I wanted to figure out what it is that I was passionate about. And it didn't come one day at home when I was sitting down thinking, all right, this is what, like I have a grand idea of what's going to change the world and I'm going to go and do it now. But it came because I went out there and I took every opportunity. The business I was running, Ascendance, as I said, we worked with a couple of hundred students. I started traveling around the country, meeting different schools. I went for corporate meetings. I started meeting different business owners, different social entrepreneurs, learning what they were doing, working on projects, whether it was something I was good at or whether it was something I was terrible about. And after a year, I still didn't figure out what it is was this grand plan for me. But I learned about myself. I learned my own, what I was good at. I learned what it is I was passionate about. I learned how my thought process differed or was similar to other people out there. And it gave me clarity in what I wanted to do, in the person I wanted to be. And I realized, for me at least, my goal was I wanted to take the work that I was doing here in Malaysia and bring it global, so that every student out there would have the opportunity to have their own entrepreneurial experience while they were still in school. So the first thing is, you don't have to figure out what you love doing now. You are only going to figure it out through experience, through trying things out, through exploring as many things as you can. Your job is just to set up those opportunities for yourself. And through that, you will figure it out. The second thing, for me at least at that point of time, figuring out, okay, this is what I want to do. There are so many opportunities, there's so many ways to do it. I'm sure many of you have multiple offerings of universities of your choices. I'm sure you guys have multiple ideas of what you're going to do next. And it seems at that point of time that everyone has an opinion and a piece of advice that they want to tell you about, which is all great. Listen to as much of it as possible. But don't settle for something just because it's what everyone else is doing. For a lot of my friends, they pick the same type of courses, they pick the same kind of universities, and a lot of them will say, Harsha, okay, great, you've done all of these things, now it's time to stop the business and go back to university. And I thought, I really do want to learn, I really want to improve myself, but I still love the work that I'm doing. Can't I do both? And Ascendance was at a point where we were just starting, we just won the Diana Award for Social Action. We were just getting opportunities to travel, to go out there, to meet people, and I didn't want to give that up. So what I did is, I didn't quit. I started looking for solutions. I started Googling universities, different types of programs, different types of offerings, and I started writing into some of the top universities all across the globe. And at first, a lot of what came back were rejections, saying, nope, not for us, or no, we don't have a program to accommodate you. But eventually, I was accepted to the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League university and the #1 business school in the world. And they wrote back saying, we actually have a program that's perfect for you. It's made for people who are working on ventures. You can do half of it anywhere around the world, in Malaysia if you're traveling, and only a fraction of it needs to be done on campus, where you can actually come and have your college experience here. So I found the perfect opportunity that would give me global exposure, world's best education, while enabling me to do what I love doing. This may not be the path for everyone, but the point I'm trying to make is, if you want to do something your way, there is a way to do it. You have just got to go out there and find that way. Don't get swept up in the noise, don't get swept up in what everyone else is doing. Once you figure out the way you want to do something, the thing that you want to do, find a way to bring that into reality. And the third thing, use every opportunity around you. And you can only do that by, ironically, having an environment that is there to support you. That environment is in this room here with you today. It's your friends, it's your teachers, it's the people that know you best. I was very lucky when I started my entrepreneurial journey. I had my family, my parents. My mom wanted to be an entrepreneur. And she went to a business incubator, a social business incubator when I was 11. And she used to bring me along. And suddenly I had met amazing entrepreneurs who, some of them were $1 million entrepreneurs, some of them were just starting out. But all of them were doing what they loved doing, being extremely successful in it. and giving back to the community around them. That's when I saw this is the type of person that I want to be. And this is the type of environment that can teach me how to be that person. And it was those group of people. It was the people in my family. It was the teachers I had in school, in high school. And it was the friends that I had even then that were my environment. Even today, I still keep in contact with many of my teachers. I ask their advice when I'm stuck. I meet them when I want to bounce off ideas. And the environment of entrepreneurs is still literally here with me every single step of the way. And it's because I have that environment, that group of people to brainstorm with, to work with, who I know will not judge me, who are there unconditionally for me and to support me, I'm able to use every opportunity with clarity of thought. Because when you guys go out there, whether it's your next educational step, or whether you're out there running a startup or a nonprofit or working somewhere, you will have so many opportunities that it can be hard to decide what to pick, what to do next. That was the case for me. But I entered university thinking, how do I have as much fun as possible and create as much impact as I can? And I only figured that out through the conversations with the people in my environment. One of the first things I did was I signed up to be a DJ at my university radio show. Very simple thing. But as I was talking to the people in my environment, as I was telling them about the goals that I had, the things that I wanted to do, they helped me find a way to leverage something simple like that, just a club at my university, into a platform to actually interview C-suite executives. It started off with alumni from the university, and eventually today I actually regularly interview VPs, directors at companies like Amazon, LinkedIn, Burger King, and so on. And those people eventually came back to work with Ascendance in the programs that we now run. And actually are the strong supporters of the work we do, who mentor a lot of the kids we work with. I went to an Ivy League university. I saw amazing offerings of courses. One really cool thing I saw was that they had alternative reality courseware. And I didn't just sit there and participate and say, this is so cool. I went back. I spoke to the people in my environment. I said, I enjoyed this. How can I replicate this? How can I bring this back? How can I use this for the work that I want to do? And we found ways to actually bring back these courses into the work we do in Malaysia today. So students in Malaysia can actually enroll for an Ivy League course, get a certificate, go through an experiential learning simulation using AR. All because I didn't sit down quietly, I had conversations, I went out there and I looked at the opportunities and I saw how it would relate back to my goals. These three things that I did, figuring out what I love, exploring and figuring out my goal, going out there and staying firm to the decisions that I wanted, finding solutions to bring it into reality. And number three, having that environment to discuss opportunities with. Just those three things is what took me in, I think, about 3 years, from a student who was just finishing my IGCSE to today CEO of one of the largest startups in Southeast Asia in education. And I know in 3 years you guys are going to do much more. So that's all for me. Thank you all so much for having me. And once again, all of you, without doubt, are going to change the world. It's just up to you to figure out what that change is going to be. So enjoy yourself as much as you can today. Appreciate yourself, the teachers around you, your friends, your family, for getting you where you are today. And tomorrow, start thinking, how are you going to go out there and shake things up? And that's it for me. Thank you guys very much.